God, it'd be nice to have more of those kind of games, to be very honest with you. But first thing I want to say is that I'm really proud of my guys because we came off that trip, and last year when we did, we were 15 down to Oregon a couple days later, and we made a big deal about that. We tried to look at practice. We tried to get them some rest. We tried to have more film sessions and meetings. But the one thing that was great about having a reunion, as I said, this program's been built on physical toughness, mental toughness, and some accountability. And there's a lot of guys that came back today that busted their way through weather. Some couldn't make it because of the weather. And I said, you owe it to them, your teammates, to at least play hard, and because that's what they did. And I thought that was maybe as hard and sharp as we could play. Maryland did not play well. I'm sure Buzz is upset, but he is a very competitive guy, and they didn't quit. And I just know that we had to raise our level of physicality because that was a very physical team, and I thought we did. And it started with Jeremy. It was so good to see him. Even when he turned it over a couple times, he blamed himself. That's a big step. He blamed himself, but he had some incredible assists. I told him that the two to Cohen aren't as good as he thought because you could throw the ball into the rafters and Cohen would dunk it, but they really were incredible plays by both people. And I thought, to shoot 60%, to execute like we did, to out-rebound him by 11, to only have 8 turnovers when he had 4 himself, but 17 points, 17 rebounds. We had a couple other guys with double-doubles right on the cusp of a double-double. I thought one of the young guys that played well was Jordan Scott, came in and gave us some really good minutes at a critical time. So, it was one of those days. I've been on the other side of one of those days, so I appreciate it. That's not as good as we are probably, and it's not definitely as bad as they are. But it was great to win a game that way in front of our former guys, and now I can go upstairs and enjoy a little reunion instead of what I would have done if we wouldn't have won. So questions?
Tom, usually when you're up 23 at the half, there's a tendency to relax.
Oh, yeah, we've done that a lot.
And to not do that and have the second biggest Big Ten margin of victory, what does that mean about this team's maturity?
I think growth. I think it means some growth, and the players talked about it at halftime because we had done that 2 or 3 times early in the year, and so they talked about it, and I felt good about that. Then they started setting goals, the defense, and things like that. Sometimes I close my eyes and I say, where is this coming from? But they are attention to detail. They cover a scouting report and give Doug credit on this. He had them, and I thought did a great job with the ball screen coverage because Coit is a player that can get you 40. And I thought we were on him every time he came off something, and so I thought out of bounds plays, we hold them to 2, that they don't even get it in. I just thought we did a good job, and that goes for my staff, for the players, and nice to have Jackson bounce back after a rough weekend when really he was in foul trouble and he was a little sick, so he bounced back and looked more like the Jackson Kohler that I know. It was nice that Coop, sat here through the wars, didn't leave, didn't go anywhere, and he makes his first 3, and he's probably playing his best basketball of his career. So a lot of basketball left, and here's the one thing I would like to say to all of you. When I walked out and saw the fans, because a cold day, I figured a lot of empty seats, right? And I didn't see one. It's just incredible, what our people do and tickets and what our fans do is special, but I really felt good that we are where we are, but there's a realistic approach now. So don't get carried away. I mean, the butt of our schedule's coming up. It gets tougher now. We're going to play a lot of the top 3 teams, 4 teams, we're going to play them. So we still got a lot of basketball left. But it's good to go into Rutgers, go on the road again, feeling good. I don't think feeling cocky. I think our players, with the maturity of those 4 guys and the age of the coach, I think we're all a little more mature than I was years ago. So I'm approaching it in a sound way, and hopefully it will continue to grow.
Tom, kind of staying with that, I heard a great question the other day in practice. Wasn't sure who posed it, but they said, how do you feel about going from being the hunter to the hunted? And you said you would kind of think about that. I'm just curious how that plays into today.
Well, I personally like being the hunted, because that means you're somebody. And you should be, if you're at Michigan State, always hunted. But, we've got a kind of funny team. It's not one that is as imposing as some that I've had. And which is almost more rewarding in a lot of ways, and I think our fans kind of appreciate it as who we are. I'm sure our new football coach appreciates what we are. I know Adam went through a tough time. I watched Robin, have a big lead, and they went through a tough time, found ways to win. I mean, that's kind of who we are here, and I'd rather be the hunted. But I don't always know if players can handle it, media can handle it, fans can handle it, parents can handle it. Now, let's see, agents can handle it, NCAA can handle it. I mean, there are a lot of people that got to handle it now. And yet, that's my job. My job is to make sure we do handle it. And I can promise you in tomorrow's meeting, it'll get turned right back around, and we go into Rutgers with the same mentality.
Tom, over the past few weeks, what do you think has led to Jeremy Fear's offensive explosion?
He's not necessarily shooting the ball from range that good. He's making a few more, but he kind of started working on his mid-range a little bit more. He started using that little bank shot when he's driving. I think he's feeling more under control. He's been fun, like it's odd that a scoring point guard, especially in this system, in Cassius, Kalen were probably the 2 guys that did it, but it's not the norm, and he's not really a scorer coming out, but what he is he's been very, very efficient, and that's what I like most. And I think, honestly, his defense is now starting to rise up. He did a much better job defensively, and I told you guys, I did not think we were defending sometimes at the guard spots the way we need to. And it's fun when guys take challenges, and maybe it's to stick it to me, maybe it's to stick it to somebody else. Hell, maybe it's to stick it to my mother. Who knows what the reason is, and who really cares what the reason is? The bottom line is, do we get it done? And we are getting better. Today we got better defensively with each and every player.
Tom, there's been a few times we've talked to you after games where maybe you wanted more from your starting group and some of your veterans, core captain-type guys, but I think your starters today combined for 63 points, and it seemed like they showed some of that toughness that you talked about earlier. What did you make of their performance there?
I mean, who wouldn't love the way you play when you win by that? I guess that's stating the obvious, but I like the huddles. I like the approach. I like the halftime. I like the players taking over. I like the players talking about, we got to make our defensive goals. We got to do this. We can't turn the ball over. We got to be under 10. Players start coaching the team. It's a better team. And so I think, Jeremy's doing that a little more. Cohen, for a quiet guy, has really stepped up in that. Coop's always been good, and those guys kind of hold each other accountable now. But like I said, hang on, because it's going to get a little rougher here. And I don't think anybody's going undefeated the rest of the way, neither us or other teams. But it's going to be, I think there's 5 or 6 teams that got 1 or less losses or 2 or less losses now in the league. And so there's a lot of pretty good teams.
Tom, Buzz knows enough about you and Michigan State basketball. He couldn't have been surprised by what you want to do. But what does it say about focus and intensity that you have 31-zip lead in fast break points?
Yeah, especially on his team who's athletic, and we were worried about their break. And I think our guys in 2 days prepped really well. And that's what's exciting, because if you can do that after a road trip, getting in at 6 in the morning, that's going to help you later on, whether it's the Big Ten tournament, the NCAA tournament. You know, you have to be able to prep, and you have to be able to get a lot done in a short period of time. The out-of-bounds plays kind of told you that, even down to an out-of-bounds play. I thought they were very focused in on what they got to do. And in saying all that, you know, I talked to Buzz for a minute after, but they did not play well. I mean, you know, that is not how they play, and that is not how they've been playing. They've struggled some, but today was, you know, I think it was a little bit of everything. You know, maybe their trip from Illinois, maybe the fact that our guys were hungry, maybe our former players, maybe our crowd was great, maybe all the above. But I don't think we're 40 points better than Maryland. I think today we were.
Tom, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the break, but also those three stretches that you had in particular. But first, you had 19 points in the first half on the break, and you had talked about trying to put the foot on the throat. And it seems like this team was doing it, and then how much the offense and defense dovetailed together with the three big runs that you guys had.
Well, if you defend and you stop people, the runs get better, you know. Then if you score at all, you keep adding points. And I thought we put it together. I thought early we were good, and then all kidding aside, when Jordan Scott came in, he made a couple of plays, got a rebound, hit a three, and it just kind of ignited us even more. But, yeah, those runs, you know, on our break, and we thought, too, one of the things we had to do was wear down a couple of those shooters, especially the little guy, because he's electric, man. I mean, if you watch film on him, it's like watching Cohen dunk when he's making long threes. It's scary, and but I thought we did maybe wear him down a little bit, and I thought Buzz tried. You know, his team must have been tired because he did a lot of subbing. He was subbing. He subbed, you know, 30 seconds, 20 seconds into the game, and so, you know, maybe his guys were a little run down too. But those runs were big, and if Jeremy's running the team and guys are running their lanes, you know, we can do it, and we did do it today.
Tom, a couple for you. How green is the light for Carson to shoot after he knocked down the one for his first career three? And then how aware were you of the number of assists Jeremy had in the second half and the record? Because obviously with the score out of reach.
Yeah. I found out Jeremy, with about 7 minutes left, had 14. Okay, because I look at the sheet once in a while too, just to figure out what we're doing. And I mentioned it in the huddle. I said, you know, if you're running down the court, I know you like to score, but you're within reason of a record. And then when he got to 16, and it's a fine line, you know, like it was. If he was at 19, I might have left him in, because I think players deserve some of those things once in a while, as Mateen did, in my humble opinion. But it goes with some things that I don't believe in either. We got enough problems in our profession right now. I don't need to be running it up on somebody. And when I said it, you know, because they have goals, and now 20 was not one of his goals, but it was getting close. And when Jackson Kohler is 1 or 2 off from a double-double, or Coop 1 or 2 off, you know, they want to obtain those goals, and I want them to obtain those goals. But when I told them that, you know, 5 minutes left or 4.5, you know, we're not going to do that. And they got players down there. I've been on that side of it, and they were absolutely great. And that made me feel good about my program and the type of guys I got in my program. The Cooper 3, does he have the green light? Are you on drugs or what? No, you know, depends what the score is. But I was happy for Coop, you know. I mean, like I said, those guys have given me a lot. And seeing them have some joy once in a while, because it's not going to happen very often. And it wasn't like it was screw-around time. It was still in the game. But I will say this, all kidding aside, Carson Cooper has improved his shot and his free throws. I don't know, what was he tonight? what was he? 5 for 5. He's done a hell of a job. So, if he wants to negotiate with me and say that he'll cover the ball screens and get 10 rebounds if I let him shoot a 3 or so, maybe we can negotiate that. Nowadays, everything's negotiable.
Tom, I talk about today's cohesion. Only a few players weren't able to get a bucket today. Looked like everything was really clicking on offense.
Yeah, I was mad at Nick because I wanted him to take that shot on the side, and then one of the twins had that one down low. But it's great. It reminds me of when my son played. There's nothing better than the players that understand what those scout team guys do for you, and when they are the biggest fans, that's a special thing. That means no insult to the 15,000. But when the players on the bench are pulling for guys to score, that's a special feeling. So I was really proud of them. I mean, the other guy that I know you guys, some people question, but it ain't because of his dad. Denim Mojic did a hell of a job. He made some great passes. He guarded the hell out of his guy. And we're just getting better because we are getting some continuity. My 2 guards made some progress. They're going to keep making some progress. I really believe that. So we'll just keep pushing them, and the other guys are playing pretty well, and see if we can keep it going a little bit. Yes.
Coach, recently this season with Cohen's offensive shooting struggles, you said recently it'd be a cold day in hell before you gave up on Cohen Carr. Back-to-back games, double-digit points, but more importantly, efficiently over 65% from the field as well on many attempts. What's it like for this team when he is as efficient as he can be offensively and defensively, especially in these last 2 games?
Well, I interviewed with Raff after the game. I love Bill Raftery. He's one of the best. And in fact, it was a hell of a crew here with Ian and Robbie. But Raff said he came out of his chair on a couple of those dunks. Well, there were people up in the Euchre section that came out of their chair. Cohen can bring something that very few people, everybody loves a long 3, but those 2 dunks, when the first one I go, whoa, the second one I went, whoa, even myself, and I see him every day. But I love the fact that I'm mad at him about the free throws, because like I said, he works so hard on them. And it's got to be a little bit mental. But you didn't see me tell him not to shoot a 3 or whatever, I love the kid. He's grown so much. He's grown as a leader. He works his tail off. He's working on the things he's not as good at. He's getting better at the things that he wasn't as good at. He's the most polite, most honest, most regular guy. That's it. That's the last good things I'm saying. Now we got another game coming up about him, but if I give my right arm to have more Cohen Carrs.
Coach, you mentioned Cooper just sticking with it with this program and himself. Obviously, his senior year seems to be getting better and better. How much can you point to him in this day and age of like the transfer portal, where you have younger guys who might not be happy or want more in their role, might look elsewhere, to kind of point to him as like sticking around in this program, you can become a Carson Cooper?
The only thing I said wrong on that, because, and I mean it, he's great. But try to remember that my old boss, Jed Heathcote, once told me that a good deal is a good deal for you and a good deal for me, and he stuck with us. But there were a couple of years I stuck with him more than he stuck with us. And that's what relationships are all about in this screwed up transactional world that they're trying to live. And it's been interesting if you watch the media, the social media, which I don't do, but I have people that tell me there's a lot of things moving right now. There's a lot of people questioning a lot of things. So I appreciate that my guys hung tight. I'll be able to tell other people that. And I appreciate that I hang tight with my guys. The question will be, will other people? And I don't know that, and I really don't care. I'm going to keep coaching the way I'm coaching. I'm going to keep pushing them. I'm going to keep telling them. I am disgusted with what's going on, and I think a lot more people are starting to get that way, but I don't want to, I will not beg a guy to stay here. That's a promise. I mean, you got to want to be here, and you got to realize that it is a privilege to be here. And I got 100 and some former guys out there that know it's a damn privilege to be here. And it's not because of me. It's because of we. It's because of this whole place. It's because of what happened at Washington. It's because of what happened at Oregon. It's because our people. And, you know, everybody loves a winner, but there was a time I didn't win here and people still supported me. So I'm lucky to have Coop. In an arrogant way, Coop's lucky to have me. Us. And that's the way I'll stay with. Last one.
Coach, yeah, I know you already been asked about Carson a couple times today. I got one more here.
Yeah,
so
good.
what I could find is growth as a scorer. Last time they scored a 3 in a regular season game was the first week of December back in 2021. He's now had 12 double-figure games this season. That's triple what he had his first 3 years. Can you talk about the vitalness of his growth as a scorer to the team, stepping up this year, and the work he's put in behind the scenes?
Yeah, and the best part about Coop is the scoring is great, but it's his defense that makes him special, and his rebounding. And rebounding has a stat, scoring has a stat. Defense usually doesn't have a stat. How he's up on those ball screens and he's helping Jeremy, how he's doing this for Cohen. Coop is one of my smarter guys. Academically, he's one of my smartest guys basketball-wise. And so he's been, he's just grown. I mean, the shame of it is Coop's 21 years old. You know, we got freshmen now 21 years old. The stupid coach should have redshirted him his first year, but I actually played him and needed him. But you think about it, Coop's, like I said, his best basketball is ahead of him, and I'm happy for him, proud of him. Got hurt a little bit. It looked like it was a serious ankle sprain. He says, I'll be back out in a minute. Just give me a minute. Take your time, you know. I mean, guys want to play. So all in all, I'll close it by saying that was one of our best performances in years. But I don't think Maryland was at its best. I think that we've got to be cognizant now that cautiously excited because we've got a road game now at Rutgers, and then the gambit gets tougher and tougher. But going into it, to sit here and being, 18-2? That's a hell of a start. One of our best starts in the history of this school, getting close to. And let's keep, my goal for teams always is do something that is different than somebody else has done that's been here, so you have your own legacy. Well, maybe we can break the best start. Who knows? We got a lot of work to do, but loved our fans today, man. Give them credit. Cold weather. Hope everybody stayed healthy. Like I always say to recruits when I get ripped on those California and Florida, it was 72 and it was really hot in the gym today, so it was great. Thank you.